Good evening, champions. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. It's yours truly, Arian Tyson, back at you one more time on a very wet Tuesday here in the STL. But I'm just grateful. It's the last day of February. This year is flying by already. Trust that you all's day was peaceful. Trust that you all's day was productive. I had a crazy day today, but nevertheless, I'm excited. I'm honored to be back before you tonight, and I'm just going to bring the heat. I'm going to just do what I do, and you know, my hopes and my prayers is that it's of value to everyone that's watching live and to everyone that'll watch the recording. And if you're just hopping on, say hello in the comment section so I can say hello to you back. Hey, Miss Rosalind, how are you? How's everything in upstate New York? Let some people know that I'm live. Good to hear, good to hear. Awesome, awesome. So I got a good topic for you all tonight. Really encouraging, really inspiring, really motivating. And it's going to get you to think. The topic is what you must stop doing to yourself. That's the topic. Awesome. Hey, champions. Arian Tyson here. Just coming back at you on this latest edition of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule on this Tuesday night. I'm sitting in my office here in St. Louis, and I am just privileged. I'm honored. I'm humbled to be able to serve tonight. I will not be before you long because I want to be mindful of your time. And having said all that, I want to talk to you from this topic, from this subject, what you must stop doing to yourself. And I really had a chance to really think about this, and I'm really just going to speak from the heart. So if you have any input, or if you hear something that is of value to you, feel free to share this. Feel free to put it in the comment section. Feel free to chime in, because this is something that I'm noticing that a lot of people are struggling with. A lot of our wounds are self-inflicted. There are many times where we ignore certain signs because whether or not we don't want to see it, or we don't want to believe it, or this, that, and the other. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of the things that we go through are avoidable. Not all, but most of them are avoidable. And we have to be mindful to pay attention to the landmines that we often don't pay attention to. We run right over them. And we wonder why things blow up, or we wonder why things don't happen or things don't turn out the way that we would like them to. But how many of you all know that there's always a purpose? There's a lesson behind each and everything that we go through. And it will remind us to pay attention going forward. It will remind us to look for certain things next time around. But we can't allow the circumstances or the storms of life to make us bitter. And so as I was thinking about this, I want to share with you tonight some things that you have to stop doing to yourself. So someone asked me a couple days ago, they asked me, Arian, what must I do? What must I stop doing to myself? And so it got me thinking, because there are times where I've asked that same question. What must you do? What must you stop doing to yourself? And having said all that, I'm just going to share some things just from my own experience, my own life experience that has helped me along the way, that has helped me have more peace in my life, that has helped me learn how to smile more, and so on and so forth. And if it's of value to you, feel free to share this. Feel free to leave me a comment. So let's dive in. In order for you to get to the point where you think about things that you have to stop doing to yourself, here are some things that I would recommend. Here are some things that I would share. If you were to ask me that question, what must you do? What must you stop doing to yourself? What I would say is, for starters, you have to be mindful of the company you keep. And with that, I would say that you have to stop spending time with the wrong people. Why do I say this? Because life is too short to spend time with people who absolutely suck the happiness out of you. If someone wants you in their life, guess what? They're going to make room for you. They're going to make sacrifices. It can't be about you all the time. It just can't. And the thing about it is, if someone is really down for you, if someone is really about you, if someone really loves you and appreciates you, you don't have to fight for a spot in their life. And never ever insist yourself to someone who constantly overlooks your worth. How many people have you seen throw themselves at someone, male or female? It don't even matter, because I've seen it on both ends, where I've seen people who are just starving for attention, throwing themselves at somebody that just does not care. They can't see their worth, and as a result, they get caught up in their feelings about it. And the reality is, we have to remember, it's not the people that stand by your side when you're at your best, but the ones who stand by your side when you're at your worst, or those that are ride or die, or those that you want to surround yourself around. There are those that you want to keep around. Because I've often said, if you're absent in my struggle, you don't deserve to be present in my success. It's easy for people to jump on, to hop on when everything's going good. But when life derails you, and ultimately it will derail you, it will sucker punch you. Curveballs will be thrown. Curveballs will happen. That's a part of life. Pay attention to those who stay by you, not necessarily paying attention to those that desert you. Because maybe I'm the only one, but I don't have time for any fair weather friends. I don't. I don't have time for people who fold when pressure hits. I don't have time for people who fold up like a cheap tent. Don't have time for that. Because when you know where you're going, and when you know who's got you, and when you know who you are, there are certain things you're just not going to tolerate. And not only that, I have no respect for people that do the next thing I'm going to mention. People who specialize in running from their problems. Stop running from your problems. If someone was to ask me, what should they stop doing to themselves? Stop running from your problems. Instead of running from your problems, face them head on. You got to face them head on. And nobody said it was going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And trust me when I tell you, there is no person in the world capable of flawlessly handling every punch that's thrown at them. Because some punches you are going to see. Some punches you're not going to see. And some punches will come from the people that you least expect it to come from. But are you going to allow it to make you, or are you going to allow it to break you? We aren't supposed to be able to instantly solve problems. But you know how many people know we live in a microwave society? We want instant gratification. It's like we don't want to work for nothing. It's like everybody want to be famous, but don't nobody want to put the work in. You know, we talk about, you know, beast mode on and so on and so forth. Okay, well, it's funny how people say beast mode on until it's time to actually become a beast. Then they look around like, okay, I don't know exactly how to do that. But you're saying you're in beast mode. You got to put some action behind it. And not only that, we have to realize that because we're not instantly made, we're not supposed to be able to instantly solve our problems. The reason because of that is because that's not how we're made. In fact, we're made to get upset. We're made to feel sadness or hurt. We're made to stumble and fall. Because that's the whole purpose of living. If you've never been through nothing, how can you appreciate success if you've never had a struggle? If you've never had to work for anything, if everything was just handed to you, how can you really show true appreciation? Something to think about. Because the whole purpose of living, face problems, learn, adapt, and solve them over the course of time. This is what ultimately molds us into the people that we become. And if you're getting something from this, let me know in the comment section. Let me know that you're with me on this. Another thing that I would say that people need to stop doing, and I'm going to be honest with you, a long time ago, I was guilty of this. But I sleep a lot better when I had to look in the mirror and I had to face the music. Another thing that people have to stop doing to themselves is that they have to stop lying to themselves. You got to stop lying to yourself. Here's what I know. You can lie to anyone else in the world. But the truth of the matter is, in your heart of hearts, you can't lie to yourself. Our lives improve only when we take chances. And I learned about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you can't live in fear. You can't live in fear of anything, fear of failure, fear of rejection, etc. Because I would rather know for certain, and it might not yield the result I wanted, than to have this nagging thing in the back of my head like, well, what if this could possibly work? People act like they're afraid to fail, but the reality is I'm learning that people are actually afraid to be successful because they know where much is given, much is required. You can't talk about wanting to be successful if you're not willing to do the things to be successful, whether it's in business, whether it's on a job, whether it's in your relationships. You have to be willing to make some sacrifices. It can't be all about you. It can't. And we got to be honest with ourselves. Our lives only improve when we take chances. And the first and most difficult chance we can take is to be honest with the person that we look at in the mirror each and every day. And I trust that you're getting value from this. Another thing that people need to stop doing to themselves is stop trying to be someone that you're not. And it's easy to hide behind a camera. It's easy to hide behind a laptop or iPad or whatever. It's easy to hide behind your persona or your image on social media. But you must realize that there are people that know you outside of social media. There are people that know you before you even decided to hop on social media. And the fact is, they know when you're talking nonsense. They know. And the thing about it is, those people that know you, they have a right to call you out when what you're putting out is not lining up with who you really are. One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world that tries to make you like everybody else. Dangerous game. I'm going to say it again. One of the greatest challenges in life is being yourself in a world, in a society that tries to make you like everybody else. Someone will always be prettier. Someone will always be better looking. Someone will always be smarter. Someone will always be younger, but they will never be you. And people spend too much time trying to be who they see in the movies, who they see in the videos, who they see on television, who they see out in social media, etc. Why don't you try being yourself and be unapologetic about it? Don't change so people will like you. Be yourself and the right people will love the real you. Period. No excuses. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. When you are yourself and when you are authentic, people can feel that. Whether they meet you or not. Whether they have the privilege of meeting you or not. You have to be who you are and be authentic, because it's too many people wearing masks. You got to be able to be transparent. You got to be able to really just understand that, you know what? Your voice does matter. You got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm awesome. You got to be able to look at yourself and say, I'm phenomenal. You got to be able to look at yourself and be honest with yourself and even say, you know what? I could be doing more than what I'm doing right now. And when you adapt that mindset to where you're not going to operate in fear, that leads to the next part. People need to stop being scared to make a mistake. They gotta get to that place. You can't be scared to make a mistake, because life will teach you two things. Anything that happens in your life is either a blessing or a lesson. Nothing happens by chance. Everything happens for a reason. So stop being scared to make a mistake. And yes, Rita, take the mask off yourself. Here's why I say this, and here's why this is true. Because doing something and getting it wrong is at least 10 times more productive than doing absolutely nothing at all. Every success has a trail of failures behind it. Every single one of them. And every failure ultimately is leading you towards some success. It might not be the success that you're hoping for, but it's leading you to an area of success in your life because you don't know who's coming up behind you. And maybe they'll go through something that you've been through. And maybe you'll be honest enough with them and humble enough to talk about what you've gone through, to instill that wisdom into those people so that they don't make the same mistakes that you made. But obviously, we know people going to do what they want to do. What I prescribe to is this. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. If a horse is led to the water, they can't use the excuse of nobody pointed me to the water. What that means is you can give people advice, you can give people insight, and ultimately you know that they're going to do what they're going to do. But what they cannot say is that nobody ever told them. When you instill wisdom in someone, they can't come back and say, well, why didn't you ever tell me? I told you, you just didn't listen. And that's sad because most people that are scared to make a mistake, they end up regretting the things they did not do far more than the things that they actually did do. And in the process of being scared to make a mistake, what we got to learn how to do is stop beating ourselves up for old mistakes. That's something I struggle with. I'm be honest with you. That's something because anyone that knows me prior to me getting on social media back in 2010, yeah, I was a late person to social media. They'll tell you I'm my own worst critic. I'm too hard on myself. But I would like to think over the years that I have lightened up a lot. And I don't take everything so seriously. Not nearly as I used to. But the truth of the matter is this. Think about someone you may have been involved with in the past. Here's why I say this. Because we may love the wrong person and we may cry about the wrong things, but no matter how things go wrong, one thing is for certain and two things are for sure. Mistakes help us find the person and the things that are right for us. We all have struggles. We all undoubtedly will make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. Every man is flawed. Every woman is flawed. And we may even regret things in our past. But I'm here to tell you, you, like me, you are not your mistakes. You are not your struggles. You are here now with the power to shape your day and your future. And every single thing that has ever happened to you in your life is preparing you for a moment that is still to come. So stop berating yourself for old mistakes. Let the past be the past. Learn from the past so that history won't repeat itself. And if you with me, if you follow me, let me know in the comment section. I got a couple more for you and I'm going to wrap it up. What people need to stop doing also is stop exclusively looking to others for happiness. I know many instances where, especially in relationships, and I actually refer to these as toxic relationships, they put all their onus in the interest of their mate to the point to where they're just so wrapped up in their mate that they forget how to live life. They find themselves merely existing. They find themselves removing friends out of their life. Now, some friends ain't meant to be in your life because as you elevate everybody can't go with you because people want you to stay on this plateau. But as you elevate to the next level, people are going to fall off. That's just a fact of life. But the truth of the matter is, if you're not happy with who you are on the inside, you won't be happy in a long-term relationship with anyone else either. It won't happen for you. You have to be able to create stability in your own life before you can share your life with someone else. In the process of you sharing your life with someone else, that don't mean that you stop living. That don't mean that you forget the people that have your best interest, that you forget the people that were there for you when you didn't have a dime to your name. Because I've actually seen people literally get married. Now, I'm not going to say no names. Literally have gotten married. And what has happened is they have completely abandoned all of the friendships that they established prior to getting married. That's not healthy. Because you have to have that time apart to where you're able to come back and say, tell your mate or tell your spouse, hey, I genuinely missed you. I really did miss you, because there are times when people ask that question, did you miss me? And you just tell them what you think they want to hear. But you're not being honest. How can you miss something or someone when they're always there, when they're always around? You can't. It's not possible. You gotta be able to understand that life has to continue to be lived. And in the process of doing that, you can't look exclusively to others to make you happy. Happiness is an inside job. It starts from the inside out. And finally, the last thing I would say that people need to stop doing to themselves is stop getting involved in relationships for the wrong reasons. Stop getting involved in relationships for the wrong reasons. Here's why I say this. Because relationships must be chosen wisely. They must be chosen wisely. Ask anybody who has been in toxic relationships. Ask anybody who's married. Relationships must be chosen wisely. Why? Because it's better to be alone than to be in bad company. I'm going to say it again. It's better to be alone than to be in bad company. There is no need to rush. If something is meant to be, it will happen in the right time with the right person and for the best reason. But that doesn't mean that you sit around and you're just waiting and time is passing you by. No, what that means is you continue to live life. You continue to live life. And not only that, fall in love. People need to learn to love and fall in love when they're ready, not when they're lonely. Fall in love when you're ready, not when you're lonely. Because when you do that, you have really opened up Pandora's box. And you're going to find yourself dealing with a lot of stuff that could have easily been avoided. Because you operated in a space of loneliness when you knew that in your heart of hearts you weren't ready. So I wanted to share that today. Those are some things that I've learned just from my own life, really over the last 5 years, that I've learned to stop doing to myself. And I decided to share it tonight. And so if you got value from it, feel free to share this podcast. Feel free to share this Facebook Live. Feel free to leave a comment. If you hopped on late, the replay will be up very, very shortly. But I want to thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to chime in, to engage in the conversation. And I'll leave you with this for those that are dealing like in a state of loneliness. Take this time to work on you. My friend Rita just said, spend that time developing your relationship with God. And that's important because you really find out who you really are and what you have to offer. And notice I said, spend time developing your relationship. Because one of the things that I've learned, and I'm honest enough to say this. Everybody that go to church ain't right. Everybody that's in church is not right. And I know a lot of great people who don't go to church. It's not necessarily about that. It's about relationship. That's what it's about. Because it's jacked up folks everywhere. Issues, we all got them. Some of us just know how to deal with them better. And some of us have gained strength from the issues that we've overcome and the issues that we may continue to deal with. And some people choose to run from their issues, not realizing that their issues are going to overtake them and it's going to damage and sabotage every valuable relationship, partnership that could possibly be created because they chose not to deal with what they know they need to deal with. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back next Tuesday, same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the next episode of the Motivation to Elevation Facebook Live podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's yours truly, Arian Tyson, the Moving Motivator. Remember, in life, you have two choices. You can make moves or you can make excuses, but you most certainly cannot do both. Talk to you all soon. God bless you all. Good night.